And now we'll be taking a look at how to select objects in Blender. Now before we do that, let's set up our 3D scene a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and left click on this object to select it, and then we can press Shift D to create a duplicate of it. So we're going to repeat this step. Every time when you press Shift D, it's going to get attached to your cursor, and this way we can have more objects in our 3D scene. Now the most basic way of selecting objects in Blender is simply left clicking. Now, when you left click on an object, it gets selected and it has this yellow outline and it tells you that this object is selected. To deselect an object, you simply left click anywhere in an empty area inside your 3D viewport. If you want to select multiple objects, you hold down Shift key and then click on these objects. But you'll notice something. As you're selecting more and more objects, the last selected object has this yellow border around it, but these other objects has this sort of orange border. That's because it tells you which object is last selected, and this is also called active element. Now, this is important for certain functions that you'll use later in Blender, so it just sort of tells you that this was the last selected object. Now, if I hold down Shift again and click on some more objects, you can see how that highlight sort of keeps moving. Now, if you want to deselect something from your selected objects, you hold down Shift key, click once, and it's going to move that last selection or make it active element, and then clicking again is going to make it deselected. So again, if I hold down Shift and click here, it's going to make it active element, and clicking again is going to make it deselected. And to deselect all of these objects, I can just click anywhere in this empty area. Now to select multiple objects more easily and quickly, you can simply left click and hold and then drag out, and it's going to let you create this selection box, and anything that touches this box will be selected. So something like here. Now if you drag and create another box, you can see previous objects are going to get deselected. So you can add to your selection and you can remove from your selection. So first we drag with our left mouse button to add our objects to our selection. And now if you want to add more objects to this selection, you can hold down Shift key on your keyboard and then you can add to your selection. Now this way the previous objects are not going to be deselected. And if you want to deselect something from your selection, you hold down Control key and then you drag to remove from your selection. Now we have some addition controls. For example, if you left click and hold here on this tool, the first tool is selection box, but here you can see we have this tweak. So this is going to disable the drag to select a function. You can simply left click and hold down Shift key to add to your selection. Next we have the box selection, which we've already seen. Next we have circle select. With this you can simply left click and hold and drag over objects to select them. And finally we have lasso tool. Now this lets you create custom shapes for selection. This is helpful in cases where you want to sort of avoid accidentally selecting certain objects. So if I don't want to sort of drag over this, I can simply left click and hold, and you can see it sort of create my own custom shape for making these selection. So these are all the tools for selecting objects in Blender, but there is a select menu at the top. You can click here and then we have some options. To select all objects or everything in your 3D world, you can click either on this all button here, or you can use the keyboard shortcut A. And for selecting none, you have a keyboard shortcut Alt A, but I like to use a different keyboard shortcut. So if you press A once, it's going to select everything, but if you press A simultaneously, like really quickly in succession, then it's going to deselect everything. So A to select everything, double press A quickly to deselect everything. And then you have invert selection. So if you have something selected, I'm going to go ahead and use this box selection tool, and then you can invert your selection so that it sort of inverts. And then you have the box select, circle select. These are the same tools and that we've seen there. And then we have the lasso select, and then we have select by type. So it lets you select objects by different types. For example, this camera and light are different type of objects than these mesh objects. So you can go to select by type and mesh, and it's only going to select these mesh objects. And then we have some more options like select random. You can click on that to randomly sort of select from your 3D world. And then there are a few more options, but these are a bit advanced for now, so we'll go over these later in the course. So that's how you can make selections in Blender.